Hello and welcome to the Bottled Imp. My name is Ken Boyter and we are at the UK Games Expo in Birmingham at the NEC. It's day 3 and this is a very special episode here because we have with me, this is Carl Jackson and he is the
Design director.
I was going to say creative director. It's the design, it's probably the same thing, isn't it?
I'm not very creative.
This is the design director of Nomad Games and they make the digital version of Talisman. So yes, we're looking forward to this interview. So Carl,
hello.
Tell me, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Enjoying the show.
I was going to say, yeah, you've been very busy?
Very, very busy. Very tired, but it's been great meeting people who bought our game, people who are enjoying it and
Excellent.
showing it to new people as well.
Excellent, brilliant. Yeah, so we are here to talk about the game. So yeah, please tell us all about the digital version.
Well, Talisman Digital Edition, obviously it's a recreation of Fantasy Flight's 4th revised edition of Talisman.
Yeah.
It's an exact replica of the game. We've tried to get the rules as close as we can to the actual board game.
Yeah.
And we've added expansions. We've got the Blood Moon expansion coming out in a couple of months. That's
nice.
The next one.
Yeah.
Adds a day and night cycle to the game. We're going to darken the board when it goes night time,
lovely.
just to make it a little bit spooky. There's a werewolf roaming around on the board as well. But we've got loads more expansions to add over the next couple of years.
Excellent.
Working solidly on it. And,
So what I'm really curious, like the concept of this. There must have been somebody within Nomad Games that just loves the board game.
That's me.
That is you. So you are the driving force for the digital version.
Mainly. I mean, we work on it together, and Games Workshop were great to work with, and they kindly offered us the license a few years ago, and it's been great to work on. There's been problems with figuring out how things work not across a table. There are certain aspects like interrupting spell actions that are easy across a table, very difficult to get right digitally. So some things were a problem, but we've added systems to cope with that kind of functionality, and it's been a pleasure to work on. And you get the reward at events like this when you see people who've played Talisman for 30 years.
And when you sat down with the concept, did it go through your mind to sort of do something like Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls series, where you're a first person and you're actually in the thick of it? Or did you always want to do the actual representing the board?
I think we were really careful to make sure that what we made pleased the fans of the board game, because when you're dealing with a license that's as old as this one and has built up a fan base over all of that time, you need to make sure those people primarily are happy with what you make. And I think what we've given them is exactly the same as what they expect to play on a table. But without all the setup, you're not going to lose any pieces. You can play it for a few minutes and save it and come back to it later. You can play online against your friends across the world. And I think if we'd have taken a 3D route or added too many animations, it probably would have slowed the game down. It's quite a long game already.
Yeah, no, totally. And I actually totally agree. The fact that you've recreated the board game for the digital, I think that works perfectly, because fans like me who've played it for 20 odd years, we love that fact because it's more of what we like, as opposed to and if it was too far from what we're used to, we would say, well, that's not Talisman.
Well, you don't want to have to learn the game again.
No.
If you draw a spell and it's a spell you're used to dealing with physically, you know how it works digitally is the same.
So tell me about some of the expansions, because you've created unique expansions for the digital game, haven't you, that aren't recreated on the board game at the moment. Is that right?
Well, no, so far everything we've released has been available physically. We've added a few characters that... we've added some characters that have been designed by fans in the past.
Excellent.
Or rare characters from the history of Talisman. There were a couple of second edition characters, the Pirate and the Ninja, which we released last Christmas for free. But taking older characters and revamping them was quite hard work. they worked back then in a different edition with different rules, and we had to kind of look at the rules and see how they should work now.
Modify.
So we've added loads of characters. I think we've added about 14 extra characters so far.
Excellent.
But the expansions have all been official expansions.
That's brilliant. And I love the fact that now you can play online against anybody across the world. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, there are people who get in touch and say, family members have moved to different countries, and they use our game to keep in touch and still play, and that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, that's why I love board games, and any video game that does that as well. It's a brilliant connection, isn't it? And then you've just launched. It's like Talisman in space.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that
Talisman, the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a Warhammer-themed version of Talisman.
Brilliant.
We've kept the same rules, the same gameplay as Talisman Digital Edition.
Yeah.
You still roll to move, you still move, and you still draw cards.
Yeah.
But it's all Warhammer-themed, based on the Horus Heresy setting.
Yeah.
But everything else is the same. Instead of a board map with fields and woods, we've got a galactic map with asteroid fields and planets to visit. And instead of blacksmiths, we have forge worlds where you can go and buy armour and tanks and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's more. We looked at how Talisman Digital Edition worked, and we took the kind of 2 years worth of feedback that we'd had from players.
Brilliant.
And we made this game work a little bit better digitally than Talisman Digital Edition does. So, for instance, there's no interrupting other players' actions.
Right.
Everything's done one at a time. It's easier, slightly easier to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's quicker as well. The average game takes about 45 minutes, which is something we really wanted to tackle. Everything moves a bit smoother.
Well, that's nice because you've taken the essence of Talisman, but because there's never been a board game of that as such, then you're kind of got a blank slate, so nobody's going to get upset and say, oh, well, it wasn't like the board game, it wasn't like the miniatures game,
Exactly, and it's a smoother experience. There are things in Talisman where we have to wait and pause to see if the player wants to do something.
Yes,
we took some of those things out so that the game is a bit more pacey, and
brilliant.
It's great.
So, future plans for both the games?
Well, we're working solidly on both.
Hey.
At 11 o'clock today.
11 o'clock today.
Artists Ralph Horsley.
Oh, artist Ralph.
Ralph Horsley. He worked on Talisman.
Oh, there you go.
He do that.
Oh, we've got to get an interview with Ralph Horsley then. Yeah, I think. All right.
Art in games will be of interest to artists.
Everything just stops.
And anybody interested in good-looking games.
That is a loud tannoy, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe at that point you wanted to go and make a cup of coffee. I don't know. Well, there you go. That proves we are definitely at the UK Games Expo. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for the interview. That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing your love and your passion of Talisman.
Well, I mean, to go back to the question you asked.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Our passion will continue. We are working solidly on both of these with expansions and updates. And
brilliant.
Just keep going with it.
So there's more of the good stuff.
There's lots more to come yet.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching, fellow imps. Remember, keep it unreal, especially if you're at the UK Games Expo.